I came across new BBC game show The Wheel by accident and quickly became a little obsessed for the same reason I've been a bit offline recently. Lockdown is simply getting to me. I haven't had a hug for almost a year, but don't worry, neither have the producers of The Wheel. At least that's why I think the show was created. If they can't feel love, then they're going to spend the next hour making you feel nothing but frustration at the fact you have nothing better to do than sit and watch celebrities spin in circles for an hour. But what is The Wheel, you ask? Well, according to the BBC website, it's a quiz show. But according to anybody who's actually watched a quiz show, it's absolutely not. But don't take my word for it. Let's watch an episode. The format of The Wheel is pretty simple, and by simple I mean needlessly complicated. We have our main wheel, which is made up of 7 celebrity experts who are each assigned a specific category. In this episode, Scary Spice Mel B has the category of Spice Girls, Lexographer and Countdown Whiz Susie Din has the category of Words, and Gok Kwan, who's cosplaying as a pirate, has the category of Fashion. The wheel is spun to find out what celebrity will be helping the contestant with their questions. So for example, if you have a question on the Spice Girls, you want your wheel to land on actual Spice Girl Mel B, but it might land on Joey Essex or Dermot O'Leary instead. But how does the contestant get chosen? Well...
So, where are these contestants? Well, believe it or not, underneath this wheel is a contestant wheel. The contestant wheel will spin around. Whoever lands in the middle, they are selected, they play the game.
That's right, the 3 contestants who are meant to be competing against each other are stored in the underground basement, and there's a second wheel that picks a contestant. Now here's my first issue with the show, because what they've done is they've put 3 people in a little basement together underneath the set so they can't really watch what's going on, and sitting a bit too close together so they can't even pretend like they don't notice each other. They definitely aren't allowed phones down there because they could be cheating, and I'm pretty sure they're mic'd up. So either they just sit down there in silence for an hour or they make some horrific attempt at small talk. Either way, my worst nightmare. Even getting out of the basement wheel seems like a torturous ordeal. You slowly rise, and I guess you're supposed to do a little dance or give a little wave, but honestly, I just would rather not. Leomi is our first contestant, and he picks Words, and then this happens.
What are you thinking, Leo?
I'm thinking Words.
Words, and I don't know the words to that song. It's quite ironic. It's a song called Words. And words and all I have to take my breath away.
The wheel is spun to find out what Leomi's first question is. A woman gently sings, "The wheel, the wheel, the wheel." While the celebrities dance and spin around Leomi. Good thing the wheel only spins once an episode. Oh wait, it spins an average of 15 times per episode? With the same on Tony's song? Yikes. You can tell the celebrities start to get a bit bored of the whole wheel gimmick around halfway through the episode, but there are cameras on them constantly, so they have to keep smiling and waving their hands as if the wheel is some Roman emperor who's threatened to kill them if they stop dancing for even a second. The wheel lands on Gok Kwan, and Leomi and Gok have to work together to answer it correctly. The first question is about spelling. Spelling.
According to the Oxford English Dictionary, which of these words is spelled correctly? Is it definitely, independence, consensus, receiver?
I actually wondered why they didn't immediately see that independence was spelled incorrectly here, but then I realised that they're English and they don't really believe in that down there. Gok makes a funny joke and Michael repeats it because it's his show and he makes the jokes.
Beaver, I before the E, except
after
when there's
C.
C. I wish we were talking about shoes or bras. Just so you know.
Talking about shoes or bras.
Now smile while we spin you around again. And if you're counting down at home, we are 7 minutes into this episode and it took about 2 minutes to answer the first question. Leomi picks his next category, Spice Girls, and it fortunately lands on actual Spice Girl Mel B.
Stop!
Leomi, who probably applied for this show thinking it would involve actually answering questions, starts to have a ponder.
Thankfully you came up. It was I can't remember the exact words.
When Mel B reminds him that she, a Spice Girl, is in front of him and he needn't think.
I can
That's the
help you
start.
if you want.
And
If he wants to think, he should go on the chase. On this show, we do not think, we spin. Instead of immediately just saying who sings the first line of the song, Mel B then gives an overview of each Spice Girl individually.
All got pretty distinctive voices.
Yeah.
Emma's voice is quite high and kind of soothing. Victoria's is a little bit low.
And then spends 2 minutes on a backstory and eventually says that the Spice Girl in question is Mel C.
It would always be typically either Mel C or Emma that would start off the song. So it's definitely Mel C.
Oh no, but she questions herself. Or maybe the producers told her she didn't give enough drama to the question, and if Leomi continues getting questions right at this pace, the show will never last a full hour.
Well done.
100%.
So,
Hold on a minute.
oh no, she's having a panic.
Hold on.
Oh my god. Oh no, what's happened? Nobody wants
No, wait,
this.
I'm now questioning myself.
After an entire 3 minutes, they pick an answer and get it right, obviously, because the song is about the Spice Girls and she's a Spice Girl. You may think I'm trying to hammer the point a little bit too hard, but it's for good reason. I haven't quite revealed who our World War II expert is. It's Dermot O'Leary. Now, you can absolutely have hobbies and interests outside your job, and I have no doubt Dermot O'Leary has a well-vested interest in World War II, but it doesn't really equate to the same level of expertise as Mel B has in the Spice Girls. The only way their categories would be equal was if the World War II expert was someone who actually fought in the Second World War. But even then, it wouldn't be that fair because World War II was an entire world war. The Spice Girls is a girl band made up of 4 members. My point is, there's a bit of disparity between the categories. Let's briefly look at another episode. Melvin O'Doom is put on the wheel as an expert in kids comedy. No, wait, music? Oh yeah, I know that. I knew he was a famous producer. I don't just know him from Dick and Dom in the Bungalow. I know him from the charts. Anyway, Melvin is titled an expert in music, and when the question of music is asked, the contestant is lucky enough that the wheel lands on him. Then this happens.
I'd be inclined to say Lewis Capaldi. He obviously has had a good few songs out, unless you think otherwise.
I feel it's The Weeknd.
Let's go The Weeknd.
My heart's saying it's the
Right,
Weeknd.
we'll lock in The Weeknd then now. Fingers crossed.
We're going to lock in The Weeknd. Let's find out. Was it The Weeknd? The correct answer was Lewis Capaldi. Your
Sorry.
instinct was
Sorry,
correct.
sorry.
Now, it may appear as if Melvin mansplained this contestant's way out of 100 grand, but it isn't necessarily his fault. The category of music is extremely vague and spans across entire decades, genres, and countries. You can't expect Melvin to know all of them. But that's what happens when your categories could be anything from the entire history of the universe to the Harry Potter books. Anyway, back to the first episode. After a full 50 minutes airtime, Leomi is on his 3rd question. He gets it wrong, which means he's sent back down to the basement, the underclass wheel, the wheel where his fellow contestants have been sitting staring up at the feet of the celebrities who lord over them. But here's the thing, once Leomi goes down, we have to spin the contestant's wheel again, and whoever it lands on has to come up in Leomi's place. So if it landed on Leomi, immediately after being set down, he would awkwardly have to rise back up again. Fortunately, that doesn't happen this episode. And Jen rises from the ashes. All she wants is a puppy, but it's not up to the celebrities whether or not she gets one, although they could probably buy her one. No, it's up to the wheel that they worship. After Leomi's hard work answering 3 questions in his 20-minute reign, Jen has to answer the final 4. The category is television, which is again pretty broad, and the question is about kids show Peppa Pig. Michael repeats another joke that's made without him.
I think astronaut would be so weird.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a bit far-fetched even for a pig.
Something so.
That's a bit far-fetched even for a pig.
We are now 30 minutes through the episode, and for those of you keeping track at home, we are on question number 4. 4 questions in 30 minutes. 4. After failing to answer her 2nd question, Jen is sent back down, and I'm personally glad of the smoke machine that fills the hole she goes through, because I can't imagine what my face would look like during this. Fortunately, our 3rd contestant Angela knows exactly how to emerge from the underwheel.
And if you were to win big tonight, what would you do with the money?
Michael, I know how to spend money.
Angela manages to answer another 2 questions, bringing us up to 6 in total, and we are only 40 minutes in. Before question 7 is asked, she has a difficult decision of picking a celebrity to shut down.
Who are you going to shut down in addition?
Jason.
Then the worst thing I've ever seen in my life happens.
Which unfortunately means that we have created over here a danger zone. Danger zone!
If Michael McIntyre was ever strutting around me while Joey Essex and Mel B spun around in glow-up chairs, I would genuinely learn to astral project out of second-hand embarrassment. I wondered if Danger Zone would be the second song they use in TV show The Wheel, but I've watched the whole series and they never play it again. Every other time the wheel spins, it's always just the wheel, the wheel, the wheel. Angela makes a joke here.
Which designer is credited with popularising the little black dress?
Oh, one like I had in the 60s.
Is it?
And while that is genuinely funny, no one is heard laughing. Probably because it was filmed during the pandemic and there's no audience, so the sound editor forgot to put some canned laughter in. And I know this because the canned laughter is back in the next line.
I think I've wet myself, Angela. I'm so excited.
You're supposed to get to my age before you do that.
Michael points out another flaw in the show.
It seems as if some people haven't yet been spun in by the wheel. Susie, Joey, and Richard.
The wheel has neglected Susie, Joey and Richard and not landed on them all night. Susie has sat in that chair for 40 minutes and literally said one word. But it's almost over. We're on our final category, World War II. The other 6 categories have been completed, so if Angela gets this question right, the show is over and the wheel is defeated for the week. But alas, she gets the question wrong and is plunged back down to the depths of underwheel hell. The thing is, whoever answers the next question has a chance to win all the money. Doesn't matter how many questions they've gotten correct. Even if this is their first time up from the underbelly and this is the only question they have to answer, get it right and they are in for a chance to win 70 grand. 50 minutes in and Leomie's pulled back from underwheel hell. Our 10th question of the episode is asked. Leomie gets it right, but the wheel isn't going to let him go just yet. There is a final challenge to the wheel, where Leomie has to answer a question alongside a celebrity of his choice, making it the 11th and final question of this 1 hour long episode. Michael reveals the celebrities were answering every question alongside the contestants on a secret device, and he has been keeping score. World War II expert Dermot O'Leary got the most questions right, Richard was right in the middle, and Joey Essex came last with the least amount correct, and offered some sage wisdom.
It is what it is though, isn't it? Yeah, it is what it is.
I'm only mentioning these 3 names because the ranking only matters for the money at stake. If Leomie teams up with Dermot O'Leary, who got the most questions right, he's the chance to win 19 grand. If he goes with Richard, who came bang in the middle, he has the chance to win £38,000. And if he goes with Joey Essex, who came last, he can win £76,000. The thought comes from a sound place. The lowest ranking celebrities answered the least amounts of questions correctly, so there's less of a chance they're going to know this next one. However, I think this logic only works in general knowledge shows, not whatever this is. Fortunately, Leomie's worked out that celebrities don't do much and picks Joey because if you're going to risk it all, you might as well risk it for 76 grand. They bring out a 3rd wheel to mark the 14th spin of the episode to decide what the final question will be. Dragons, movies, softball or USA. You see what I mean about the categories being a bit of a mix. The final question asks what state Niagara Falls is on. Leomie says he knows, which is unfortunate for Michael because this is the first question we have that's timed.
Well, I might as well. So you feeling confident?
I've
got 20 seconds.
I'm feeling very, very confident. Cancel the 20 seconds. I'm good.
We might have actually had stakes with this one if Leomie hadn't taken that trip to America with his friends. It's also kind of funny how he only has 20 seconds to answer it when we've had about 15 minutes to answer every other question asked in this show. He gets it right, wins 76k and stands up as if he's about to hug Michael, but either realises there's a pandemic on or that the wheel has forbidden him from leaving his seat and he shimmies back down. I have to admit, it is a bit of fun. I think everything about it works, except for the whole quiz show element. If this was a weird comedy type gig, I would love it. The banter's good, I think the celebrities are always a bit of crack, and the contestants always seem to have a good time. But it pretends to be a quiz show, even though, and I did the math on this, it averages at around 10.8 questions per episode. The show's runtime is an hour, which means on average a question is asked every 5.5 minutes. But that's not the part that frustrates me the most. The worst part of this is that the various wheels included in the show get spun an average of 15 times per episode. That's 4.2 more wheel spins than there are questions. In comparison, let's look at actual quiz show The Chase and see how many questions they ask on it. If you don't know, The Chase is broken up into two main parts. Contestants go one by one to build up their prize fund by answering questions. Then they face off a chaser to see if they can bring their money back to the team or if they have to leave the studio and go back home. In the second part, whoever makes it back to the team answers as many questions as possible in 2 minutes. Then the chaser tries to match them. So if the contestants work together to answer 18 questions, the chaser by himself has to answer those 18 in 2 minutes. If the chaser succeeds, the team goes home with nothing, but if the chaser fails, the team splits the money between themselves. I'm not saying The Chase is a perfect quiz show, but it's one of the wheel's main competitors, so we should take a look at how many questions are actually being asked. To really drive the point home, I'm going to put you in the worst episode of The Chase I can think of, to try and find the minimum amount of questions possible on that show. Say you and 4 of your friends are really bad at general knowledge, but somehow you pass the Chase's screening process and end up on the show. The first thing you do is answer Bradley's questions. He has 2 minutes, and let's say he has a sore throat and just witnessed you trying to seduce his wife backstage. He takes his time. Ask 1 question every 30 seconds. That's 4 questions already, and we're 4 minutes in factoring in interruptions. But this is the worst game of The Chase ever, so you get none right and you end up facing the chaser. It's the one who was in an open marriage with his 23-year-old cousin. When you're at the table, you can choose if you want to go for a higher offer or a lower offer. You go for the higher because you want to impress Bradley's wife. Going for the higher offer means if you get 2 wrong, you get out, and that's exactly what happens. But still, 10 minutes into this horrendous and fictional episode of The Chase, and we have 6 questions, which took the wheel 45 minutes to get to. The same thing happens with the 3 other contestants. They each get asked 4 questions by Bradley, 2 by the chaser, and they all get voted out. That's 24, which is double the wheel's average, and we aren't even in part 2. Since all our contestants are out, the team nominates you to go up against the chaser on your own. You have 2 minutes, and Bradley takes his time again, asking 1 question every 30 seconds, which I remind you is extremely generous. You manage to get them all wrong, because the Jaeger bombs you shot in the car park are starting to catch up with you. We are on 28 questions now. The chaser only has to answer 1 and he wins. That's 29. Only this scenario would never happen. Could you imagine if they only asked 29 questions on The Chase? People would riot. And yet the wheel, which is 50 minutes longer, asks an average of 10.8. That's almost a third of the number asked in my imaginary and terrible Chase episode. Oh no, but that's not fair. That episode is fictional. You just made it up. Don't worry, I can prove my point without a bad episode. I can prove it with statistics. The Chase fan page One Question Shootout has compiled a chart of the average number of questions asked per episode per series. The highest is 121.8 questions per episode, and the lowest is 101.9 per episode in Series 14. As you can see, this is 10 times what the wheel has to offer. Now, I'm not here to judge. I'm sure I ended up naming this video something really dramatic, but I genuinely think what's fun is fun, and if you enjoy the wheel, then I'm happy for you. We all need a bit of fun in this pandemic. However, it's not a quiz show and I will not be calling it one. Although, if they did decide to make it a quiz show, I do have some suggestions. And by suggestions, I mean demands. First of all, we get rid of the contestant wheel. This show is called The Wheel, not The Wheels, so I'm limiting you to 1 wheel. The contestants are still put in an underground dungeon though, because I did kind of like that. But they work as a team instead of against each other. The show starts with Michael McIntyre asking as many questions as he can in 3 minutes. A speed round, if you will. The celebrities and the contestants have to get as many correct as possible, and whatever contestant gets the most right goes up first. There are still 7 categories, but instead of the celebrities being experts in specific or vague fields, they're instead ranked on how many general knowledge questions they got right. The higher a celebrity ranks, the less money the contestant makes in choosing them to be their guide. The role of the guide is the same as the celebrities function currently, to help the contestant pick the correct answer and win the prize. But that is not enough to fill an hour, so I have a fun twist. There are 2 celebrities that are told to be saboteurs, a concept I completely made up and did not steal from a CBBC show. The 2 saboteurs have to mislead the contestant, while the other contestants trying to work out who the saboteurs are. Each category has 6 or so questions in it, and every time they complete a category, they get to vote off a potential saboteur. Regardless if they guess incorrectly and choose a celebrity who was just trying their best, the celebrity they pick is out for the rest of the game. To win, the contestants have to answer all 7 categories correctly and vote out both saboteurs. We might have to playtest it a bit, but I think even that sounds more fun than watching the wheel spin around a bunch. Oh wait, did I forget to add a wheel in my The Wheel reboot? Okay, so the wheel is there, it's what picks the saboteur, that the contestants won't see because they're underground, and the celebrities won't see because Michael will distract them with a dance. There, it's not perfect, but it's a bit more engaging than watching celebrities dance around the wheel for 50 minutes an episode. Anyway, thanks for watching. I don't think you could have expected anyone to have any sort of opinion on BBC game show The Wheel, and yet here I am. I think lockdown might be bringing out the worst in me. And for the record, this is all fun and games. I'm not anti The Wheel, I'm just anti wheels in general. I think inventing them was a mistake, and this show proves it.